I want to invite Paul Mackey to our Think Out Loud session today.
Yeah,
I am Bente, and Paul, you are the founder of E3, and
yes.
our Think Out Loud session are like short 10-minute conversations about some of the huge topics that we covered in E3
Yeah.
this past year.
Yeah. So there's a little tension in there because we can't cover everything, but we like to at least get the ball rolling.
That's right.
And get people thinking. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the topics that we covered was that we are gatekeepers of our minds.
Yes.
And there is a lot, actually it's loaded with responsibility.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Yeah. Loaded with responsibility, and I think responsibility not in the sense of a list of to-dos, but more like being aware of the implications of what we think. Part of the struggle with thinking of connecting responsibility and thought life is that our thought life is so private. You know, I mean, it all goes on in your head, and there's no secret microphone. And, you know, unless we speak what we're thinking, nobody really knows. We can guess sometimes in an environment where everybody's talking about the comics that we're going to keep talking about things related to, you know, the comics, right? Because the subject's been set. But ultimately, the reason why gatekeeping, I use that phrase, is more like stewardship than responsibility. It's understanding that we are in charge of an amazing source of creativity and energy. And we need to maybe be more responsible with how we use it, because actually a lot of what we say we've already thought about. And it is the saying of it that begins the creative process. So it's sort of backing up the creative process and saying, so why did I do that? Or why did I create that? Or we sometimes surprise ourselves with what we just did. Like, oh my goodness, what were you thinking? Right? We say that.
Yeah.
Well, the thinking was where the seed was. The speaking was where it went into action. And then once we spoke it, we did it, and then we surprised ourselves. So what we're talking about is actually, let's go back to where it started with the thought and say, so when God made us, He made us with a co-creative ability to think, to see, think, speak, and co-create. That's the trail. So if we see it and we can think about it and we can put words to it, then we can begin to create it. And at that place where we're thinking about what we've seen, when we talk about the gatekeeping idea, it's that we understand that we have the power of influence, either in our own lives or the life of someone else, based on what that thought is going to become a word that's going to become an action. And that's either going to validate myself, validate you, validate my world, my environment, or not, right? And so that's the gatekeeping part, is that nobody can make me think something. That's entirely that's my castle. And it's important how I keep that castle, if you will.
I like that because it speaks about authority.
Yes.
That you have. But it also makes me think about when we talk about mind control.
Yes.
And how you can say the devil made me do it. You know, that's
Yeah.
that's a good famous one.
Yeah.
But also we talk about other people becoming brainwashed and mind controlled.
Yes.
So how does that fit with that I actually am supposed to have authority over my mind?
Yes. Yeah, that's really good. So mind control, brain control, there's a lot in that subject right there, but maybe I could just point at a thing or two. So when we are the gatekeepers of our own minds, may I also suggest we're also the gatekeeper for what we let in from other people. And so if I don't have a process whereby I value what I think, then I'm liable to take your opinion as truth. And all of a sudden now you're telling me what I'm supposed to be thinking. And number one, I don't think we were made like that. I think we were made to actually have a thought about what you're saying, but that comes with do I even, well, here's some questions around gatekeeping. Not only do I believe I'm a gatekeeper, but do I believe I'm an effective gatekeeper? Do I think I'm up for the task? Do I just think I am not worth anything? My life's not going anywhere. Who cares? So it's just like I tear down all the walls and I'm influenced by everything and everyone. I don't believe that's how we've been made to live. But I do think there are those of us who choose to live there because we're tired of the war, the tyranny. And I think that war goes on because we don't know who we are and we don't know what we think is important.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
So I like to end with just pointing out that being a gatekeeper of your mind goes both ways.
Yes.
Both of what comes out, but also of what comes in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really the truth. I mean, I can laugh at myself, but I mean, these ideas that we're chatting about actually changed my life because I was that kid. I was a kid who didn't believe what I thought mattered, who didn't believe anybody even cared. And so then I began to think, well, then why should I care? And I just kind of threw it all out there. And so I would be interested in this, and then I was interested in that, and I found myself wandering around life, and soon I became exhausted because I was trying to be everyone else instead of myself. And so that's a story for another time, but the idea is that many of us live that way. And it'll just wear you out.
So where does the awareness come in to change that? What would you, let's see, what could a question be? What would you say to someone who is not aware that they actually have the authority to stand up and say, I can choose what goes out and what comes in?
Goes out, what comes in. I would probably start a discussion with an individual like that, not around what they think, but around who they are. Who do they believe they are? And perhaps as a friend, walk with them through reclaiming their identity and reclaiming how valuable they actually really are. Because if we can get that reclaimed, if we can reclaim and reform their thought processes around themselves, then what they'll come to value is what they think and what they say, and then so what comes in and what goes out. But it's rooted in a discovery of their identity, and then the fruit of that is, oh, then what I think matters.
That's good. Thank you, Paul. We'll end here for today.
Yeah, thank you.